Hello, all you lovely people in Gasconade R1 School District in Hermann, Missouri. Apparently, a consideration is being made for a levy transfer and bond issue in your school district. I'm here to help you understand and unpack this tax issue that is being considered in April 2024. I do this under request by a few of the people in your school district to help you be an informed voter. Also to help you understand the options or problems of why this is its own plague among the school districts for funds. Your school district is by far not the only one doing bond issues. So we're going to cover why your teachers are getting less pay and can't have nice things, also the solutions. If the community is up to the task of demanding that change, that is. Let's put it this way. It's kind of feeding the beast that only makes them fatter and hungrier. There has to be a balanced diet. And numbers don't care about your feelings, not yours, not mine, but they can help navigate the issue if you have the information. That is why I prefer to look at things through this scope. It gives you the facts on what is happening presently, also can give you a crystal ball into the foreseeable future so you can better navigate decisions more effectively going forward. We're going to go over the numbers of students, future students, and how this will affect your school in the next 5 years. We're going to go over the bonds you have currently and what they're not telling you. Also show you how to find the information yourself. And this is vital because you should know what you already owe, because this will affect your taxes currently and also what your children will be paying in the future on their homes and cars. So if this is for the children, we have to consider what those children will be paying in taxes in their adulthood. These taxes impact you and your future more than you know. Once you go down a rabbit hole, you may never be able to dig your way back out, or even collapsing the opportunity of reducing those taxes later. This means your children having the ability or affordability to purchase a home or even a car. So these school bonds are more serious in nature than people think and should not be taken lightly. Approving them, I understand this is not the most exciting topic and may even need to be taken or watched in parts. But I do promise you, it is all valuable information that you should know. But just like in a classroom, to teach or understand a subject, it takes some time to explain, show, and learn. So we're going to get into this. There's a lot to learn and cover. So please come with me on this journey of understanding your school, what and why they are considering and wanting this bond levy proposal. So the real reason Gasconade R1 in Hermann, like many other school districts across the country, is doing either a bond levy and or ballot initiatives is because they are losing ESSER funds in September 2024, which is federal bailout funds for the economic relief for schools, for teachers, capital projects, meaning repair structure or curriculum for getting the kids back on track with the academics due to the loss of learning. Well, the schools have gotten addicted to this money because for many schools like yours, it was in the millions per year. So the question you should be asking is why the property owner is being asked or being punished for the school's choice of shutting down. No, now they're asking the community to continue the federal financial heroin fix. And the schools were well aware this was temporary. Also, the state funding they speak of losing for what is called ADA, or average daily attendance. The state, after shutting the shutdown, didn't hold the schools to average daily attendance, and that's how they're funded from the state. It's per head. So they kind of forgoed that, and they just did it per student enrollment. Like your school, I think that was added up to an extra $300,000, according to the numbers that I looked at. But it depends on the size of school, how much that's going to affect the school. So most people are unaware that the state money is for salaries. The local tax revenue, meaning your property taxes on your home, is at a rate of 19% for every $100 of assessed valuation, and 33 1/3% for your vehicles, boats, trailers, for example. And so renters don't think for a second that these taxes don't affect you. The taxes are built into your rent. You just pay it indirectly, so you don't see the bill. And if you have a mortgage where it's wrapped into your mortgage, well, guess what? You don't see it there either. You just get a statement from your person you go through saying, well, taxes went up, this is your new payment. So, but Hermann in recent years has been receiving a lot of extra tax revenue from the taxpayer, and that's starting to dry up as well. Mainly about the only thing that they've been getting is for new construction. So let's see, there was another point that I was going to make on that, and I guess we'll just go on here. Also, according to the 2021 data from the National Education Association, a prominent teachers union shows that, not counting the District of Columbia, Missouri has the second highest percentage of funding coming from local sources and the smallest percentage coming from state sources. Yeah, this was the point I was going to get to. But there's something a little bit strange, and we'll get into that later, about that funding as far as for salaries. So Gasconade R-I in their local revenue proves this point, especially in recent years, for how much they are receiving in local tax revenue. But I bet you didn't know that it is in the wording when they say, oh, our school doesn't, get the funding. So that automatically makes your brain go to, oh, they're underfunded compared to other states. Well, it's a half truth because it's in state funding. Yes, state funding is what they don't get as much of. And it definitely shows in your numbers. But at the same time, they fail to talk about the local funding they receive. Also, the sales tax they receive in Missouri that schools in other states don't receive, because we have sales tax on food and clothing, on necessities, where even some of the more blue states like Minnesota and such don't have sales tax on those items. So if you think about it, the state knows how much money a school district needs in revenue for salaries for their population of students. The state is holding them accountable. So if a school chooses to grow in what they offer for curriculum or staff, this takes away from existing salaries. take, for example, the student population for Gasconade R1 in Hermann it's a little bit less than 800 students now, but it's a relatively small school. So you have to ask, why is it that you have a superintendent? Because you don't have to have one, or even an assistant superintendent. So, and let's not forget their secretaries, because your school has principals, assistant principals, and so it starts to get to be more of a redundant and expensive for that administration. And there's even a secretary for your counselor. Well, this all takes away from your teachers. It takes away from salaries. So, and the statement I'm going to make it's not to be demeaning. If you think about a superintendent is not much more than a coordinator and a salesperson for the school. Going to meetings, rubbing elbows with the Chamber of Commerce, lobbying at the Capitol for more tax dollars, just saying. So really, the superintendent kind of works, almost works against the community in certain aspects. It's all about getting more and more money for the school. Well, where are they going to get that from? Taxes. Okay, so all this administration and support for the administration, along with the Missouri State Board of Education, adds up to hundreds of thousands of dollars that could go to your teachers. So, all right, I hope you're starting to get the picture of why your teachers keep getting the short end of the stick here. But that they're the ones that they put up on the mantle for more funds. It's kind of it's abusive in my opinion. So just getting rid of, like, say, the excess administration, the MSBA, would be at least another $3,000 raise for each teacher in your school district. So we're going to get into the numbers that of your school district and how to get there. And then we're also going to go through the bonds in your district. So there's a ton to cover here. Like I said, it's going to get a little daunting and boring, so you may need to just take this in 5-minute intervals. But to get to the finances, you're going to go into Odyssee's website, and that's going to be apps, apps dot Odysee.mo.gov. So you see this Odysee application sign in. This is a page you want. You don't need to sign into your account. You don't have one. So you go into public applications. And there's a couple of these that you're gonna look at here. You got your annual Secretary of the Board report, also known as ASBR. And another one that's also nice is it'll give you local effort reports. So you can see from year to year how that works. So it's easier to go over instead of by code, hit name, because people don't know what the code of their school district is. But if you go by name, it's in alphabetical order. And right here, you see the year. Actually, I'm going to go and now that we're here, I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you guys can see it just a little bit easier on your screens. So we got a deer, defaults to that because it's in the A's. Okay, so we're going to go down to Gasconade R1. And you're going to go to ASBR reports. Now what we're going to go through is the meaning of some of this stuff. And the main pages we're going to look at is like the first and the last page. So you see 15 pages here. We're going to dot through some of the areas there so I can just show you a few things that are important because it does speak to what's going on here with this proposal. So this is your general fund. Now this is what like your teachers, well, salaries will be paid out of this fund, and also all your different things for the school district that they need, like lights and things of that nature, and also your capital projects. So this is your levy currently. It's $3.38 per 100 at 19% for every 100 assessed dollars of assessed valuation. Okay, that's kind of average, for a school district. It's not necessarily on the high or the low end. Minimum is 275. That's the lowest the state will require a school district to have. Now, what will happen? They'll dump into the teachers fund. They don't have a specific levy for that. Now you got debt service fund. This is your bond debt and what the rate is, which currently is 90 cents. We're just going to say 90 cents. And that's what you vote in for, say, a new school or a massive project or whatever. This is what you find on the ballot, just like they're asking for another 5 million from you. That's what this account here is. Now you got a capital projects fund. Okay, this is what I call the overflow fund. And this will get anything that's kind of left over or any overages or whatever, it will go into capital projects. And you don't have a levy there. And then you have your grand total. So this is $4.28 that you pay in property taxes as far as that assessed valuation. Okay. So you got your 338 for your general, and then you got your debt service, which is your bond debt. So think bond debt or bond levy. So here there's transferred funds like here, like the general fund, they transferred it to the teachers fund, and that was the 2.3 million. Okay, I'm going to show you a few more things here. Now here's the revenue, and this is your local revenue. What they got in taxes that went into the general fund. This is just local. This is your property taxes and sales tax and all that kind of stuff. And then this is what went into debt service. Like I said, your bond, and then the total. Okay. Now we're going to go into state revenue. Now this is where, I got to throw the school a bone. You got county revenue there, and then the state. And the state pays 2.7 million. And remember when I was telling you that the state pretty much pays for salaries. Well, if you break that down for how, all your administration, your teachers and, staff, that's really not much at all. So I can see why they're a little nervous. And I looked before, the shutdown, what they were getting from state, and it was like 2.4 million. So it's about a $300,000 difference. So this is what they're talking about when they're talking about state. And they're concerned because there is rumblings that they're going to start holding them to that ADA or average daily attendance then. Well, then that revenue goes down. It'll go back down to about that 2.4. So that's what they're talking about when they say they're losing funds. And that is a low amount. I don't know what the deal is. I notice when a school gets a lot of local revenue, like they get a lot of local revenue. It seems like the state funding goes down, and I can't speak to that as far as to why or how they justify or change that. But here's another problem that is not being discussed. I mean, that 300,000 is kind of the least of their problems. Because I'm going to show you something else. It's the federal funding. And it's this funding here. ESSER 2, ESSER 3 funds. They're going to be losing this in September of 2024, next year. And if you look at how much they're receiving in that, and here's the teachers fund. So they're receiving over $1 million in federal funding for these ESSER funds. It's Economic Relief Fund for, teachers and infrastructure. And this, like I was telling you, the schools are getting over $1 million of that. This is, I'm sure, the big concern. And yes, the schools are freaking out over that too, because they've gotten used to it. This is what was paying for extra teachers and, where they were able to pay a little bit more and stuff like that. So where you see this 2.2 total here, well, that's going to go down to probably about 1.2 million. So I understand their concern, but the thing is, the community, it shouldn't be the community's problem, if that makes sense. This is between the state and the school. And like I said, I would agree that that's a tough number. So, I'm gonna close that out. So yeah, these ASBR reports, they're wonderful as far as now you see here, you can go back and look at history. So I can go back to, say, 2018, 2019, and that's where I can prove to you that they were getting a lot less state funding. But here's that shell game that nobody knows about too. See how the debt service was 90 cents? Well, what they did is they shift funds around. You got 353 here and 75 cents here. So, see if we can show you where you can see that. See how now it's 338? This is where I say bonds are dangerous. When you have other open accounts like this, they can actually move money. What they'll do is they'll drop this down. If they go over 5% increase, which it comes from the Hancock Amendment. What it did was capped the amount of revenue that they could receive for large increases. And I think they must have had one in here. They did get a couple real doozy increases in the last few years in property tax revenue. But I think a majority of it seemed to come from new construction, but there must have been something else also. And so what they do, now they have somewhere to dump it into, which they dumped it into debt service. And we're going to go into some things that your superintendent had said, and we're going to dismantle that as well. But okay, we're going to go back now. But I wanted to show you this. This is where your total levy stays the same, but what they do is they dump it out of here because they can't keep it in here. They can't keep anything over 5% in their general revenue. So it was back in 1987, there was a loophole made where if they had another open account, they could use that loophole and they could keep all of those funds instead of rolling back their levy, meaning reducing this. That 428, say, well, they moved that 15 cents. Well, they could have dropped this down 15 cents. So where it would have been, what, 412? Like that. And, oh, that's right. We're going to go back and I'm going to show you their state revenue back in 2018-19. And then we're going to go into local effort. All right, we need to go to, not local, state effort. State revenue. Oh, they had 2.7 there too. Well, that's weird. Did I change it? Yeah. Well, they're getting the same revenue. They had more students then. That's why. It was before that. So I'll show you local effort. See how they had 814. This was average daily attendance, so they had well over 800 then. Because remember now, you're always going to have students missing. But look at what your total taxes was that they were collecting. This is just local. It says total local taxes. 5,000,008. Well, let's look what they get now in local effort. 7.1. So it's went up considerably, and they've gotten over an extra million in just local revenue in recent years. But look at your average daily attendance now, 769 students. So, and look at how local effort per average daily attendance. Okay, that's just local effort. This does not include your state and federal. This is just local effort. What you pay per student is $9,318. That was last year for school. But I know it looks overwhelming on these ASBR reports, but once you kind of get to studying them a little bit, it isn't that bad. Like I said, how much you're paying for your levy is important. Watching how much is going into your debt service. And this, what they're wanting to do, this is a kicker. Oh, yeah, we have more to cover in here. Sorry about that. Because we need to go to the last page. They're wanting to take 30 cents away from this. So it's going to take you much longer to pay your debt down. And they want to borrow yet another $5 million. So you need to know what you owe. And we're going to show you that. Oh, and then that's going into here. So now this fund for operations is going to be another 30 cents higher. So, well, that'll be 368, right? And then this will go down to 60 cents. Well, now it's going to take that much longer. You're going to be paying more interest and everything else on the bonds. So we're going to go to page 14. It's always second to last page of however many documents there is. Sometimes there's only 9. But okay, here's your general obligation bonds. Now, this is your grand total. They carry no lease purchase, and we're going to cover that too because that's important. But this is a breakdown of what bonds that you currently have out. Okay, we have, when he says, oh, we've been really good about paying down our bonds, and we're going to get into that, is you got 2 of them that are due to expire. You see, this was a refinance. Refunding issue means refinance. And so it was a 10-year term. Well, if it happened in 2014, now it's going to be paid off in 2024, right? If the term was 10 years. Now here's another one, 2013. Well, length of term, that's how long the loan is, 11 years. So that will be paid off next year. So 2014 is when they refinanced, and same with 2013. This was a refinance, so that they were just finishing off a long loan. Okay, so they are basically taking them to their end date. They're not paying them off early. It's annoying. But anyway, so currently you still have $7,777,000 left in bonds. And so this $665,000 will get paid off next year, and so will this $180,000. Okay, so those are going away because, well, they need to get paid off. Like I said, we'll get into those actually at the state auditor's office. We're going to actually look at the schedules on the bonds that are left. We're not even going to get into 2014 and 2013 because they only have 1 payment left on those, but there's 3 more out. It's this 2017, this 2017, and this 2010. And I'm going to show you the schedules on that for payments. Lease purchase. What is lease purchase? Well, this is debt a school can take out without your knowledge, without your permission, whatever. But they can take it out in the millions. They can use lease purchase to buy buses, fix roofs. They can take it, like I said, millions of dollars, and it's like bond debt. In fact, it's kind of the same as bond debt. But what lease purchase is, this is levied against the school. It is not levied against the property owner. So don't think for a second that a school can't take out loans for repairs without bonds. Bonds The reason why that was ever allowed or originated was for growth. Say you had a town that was growing and a lot of families were moving in, and now you need room to put these kids in seats. But you're growing, so that's more revenue going into the school and everything else, but you have to get a building put up to support the amount of students that you're getting in your community. Well, these bonds have become something else. They are for they're making it sound like, oh well, that's for our roofs. That's for, we need it for a roof. We need it for all these repairs. We need, and it's like they're becoming something they weren't originally supposed to be. And so we're all under this belief system that, oh yeah, we need they need a new roof, and they want to do this, and they want to do safety and security upgrades and yada yada yada, or expanding programs. Well, I think we need to worry about grades. Just my opinion. Um, so they're wanting to keep this debt service going and going and going when it should be dropped off. This is an extra tax, folks. This isn't it. This isn't, uh, oh, well, we just keep this tax forever and ever and ever. No, that's not really how that's supposed to work. It's supposed to be temporary. It's supposed to be for, like I said, building a new school because you have an exploding population or something like that, which you don't. But they're trying to grow in different ways to justify keeping this extra levy on the people. And look it up yourself. Look up the definition, and you'll see it for yourself. But this capital projects, this is what's supposed to be for repairs, maintenance. Say you need a new heating and air conditioning unit, and they can save money. They can save money and keep dumping money in here or saving over the years. They have schedules for these repairs. It's not like, they all of a sudden, oh, well, we didn't know that was coming. They know what needs to be repaired and how old everything is. They have a maintenance plan for this stuff. And if it does get a little over budget, they can go and take out a loan, and it will be paid out of this fund, this capital projects fund. In some schools, they even have a small levy attached to the capital projects funds to help pay off those lease purchases. So just so you're well aware of that as well. So let's see, I think we covered everything on this. So I think I'm gonna, well, maybe I won't close out of that. We're gonna go to a new window. Now the next page we're gonna look at is Missouri State Auditors. Missouri State Auditor's Office. This is just how I do it. Now you see this page, Scott Fitzpatrick. Now you're going to hover over reports and you're going into bond registration. And you're going to get to this page here. And you're going to go between whatever dates you want to see. And as you see, it goes back to 1999. So you can go through quite a history here. But we want to go back to 2010, and it defaults 2023. So we want that to make sure that we do that, otherwise nothing's going to come up. So Gasconade R, whoops. Oh, it's Gasconade County. It's really picky. If it won't let you do what you want to do, just put like Gasconade and then all of them will come up. So now I got all yours. So one of these is paid off, the other one is not. So we got this one, I think it is. Yep, it's that one. And these two up top. I'm just going to go ahead and pop them up real quick. These are the three after those other two get paid off. I'm not sure what this, there's one of them that's really strange, but anyhow, what I want you to focus on these is when you make payments on them. Look at that. Let's see. Oh, let me go and get this a little larger. Let's see. Whoops, wrong way. It's Missouri State Auditor's Office. Might want to shrink that up just a hair. So there, that should be good. Okay, these are neat. This is when you actually took this one out, and it'll tell you the purpose: constructing, improving, renovating, furnishing, and equipping school facilities, including roof repairs, parking lot improvements, HVAC and energy improvements, and resurfacing playgrounds, track and field, and other surfaces for students. Remember that. I really need you to remember this because this will be very important here in a little bit. Okay, this is the rate of interest that you're paying on this particular loan, 4%. And mandatory redemption. In other words, look at when your first payment is. 2036, 2037. This was taken out in 2017. But your first payment isn't till 2036. These are deferred payments. It'll even tell you your election results on these. It was 1,344 approving it, 969 no's. So it was a fairly close vote, really. Now, this is your other one. Again, I'm going to go and we're going to get this a little bit larger so it's a little easier for you to see. So the purpose of refunding advance maturity, the districts. Oh, this was they refinanced the other 2010. But look at your first payment on this one. Again, this was a refinance. When they say refunding, it's a refinance. So again, 2017, your first payment isn't till 2028. Think about that. That's your first payment isn't for, well, it was on December. Okay, I'll give them 10 years then because it was almost 2018. So for 10 years, it's deferred. Pretty crazy. And yeah, you can see that this is a refinance because there was no vote, no nothing. And that the purpose was for this other bond refunding. Okay, now this one, I've never seen one quite like this in looking at bonds. It's a little bit different, but all the same, I'm going to have to do this a little bit different. There we go. But it's one payment. And this is the 2010. This was done in 2010. And it's one payment and it is until 2027. Now he mentioned something about paying off one early. I'm not really sure which one it is or if I'm very unclear on that statement that was made because they've got those other ones that they're paying off. But look at how deferred your debt is. And now they want to borrow yet another $5 million. I, it's your money. That's all I'm going to say about that. But when I see deferred payments like that, you're paying interest on that in a big way. In fact, let's look, see which year was this. Okay, let's go to page 14. It'll show the grand total of interest payments, because I think you need to see that as well. Okay, all these bonds that you have, you know, you got 10,000. Now, these are the ones that are going to go away. So you got 10,000 and 26. So there's 27,000 that you won't be paying on two of the bonds anymore. But look between all of them, $323,000 that you are paying in interest. Okay, now think about that. For 5 million, and right now the interest rates are between 4 and 5%. They're bouncing around right now in between that interest rate. So that means that $5 million bond is probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of, say, 220,000, somewhere in there. It's going to be a little bit over $200,000 probably. So tack that back on. So with that another 5 million, you're going to be looking at $500,000 that you're going to be paying just in interest, unless they decide to pay off one of these. I don't know. And they could. The money is there to pay off another one, either next year or actually I would say next year, because look at what the ending fund balance of that debt service is. It's 2 million. So, and they'll get another additional revenue of about 1.6 million. So between making those payments and the interest payments and everything else, theoretically, they could pay it off probably next year. They may have to wait though. They usually have to have a little bit of a buffer in there, but for sure they'd be able to pay it off in 2026. No, they could pay, yeah, the beginning of 2026. So, let's see. That's it for that. Now we're going to go look at a few other things. And because this is important. Okay, this was Hermann Coffee and Conversation event. I just went and pulled a little bit out of this to speak to it. But this article was on October 25th in the Republican. But your superintendent, Neil, last week told the audience assembled for the district's latest coffee conversation gathering that ended that the end of the provisions will mean anticipated reduction of more than $300,000. Remember what I was telling you? It's that state funding. Going forward, that money is gone, he said, referring to the 1 million plus that the district receives from, oh, yeah, he's talking about the federal government doled out to help cope with the coronavirus pandemic. Remember, I showed you that. And then he explained extra money was used in place of local funds to meet operating and capital expenses. We saved our money and used theirs, he said, pointing out to such projects as upgrade heating and cooling systems at the middle school and high school, as well as other work such as bolstering the district's security systems at the schools. The administrator used the example of anticipated loss of funds to highlight the need to be able to refinance future capital projects and provide better pay for teachers, which would be the aim for voters approve a 5 million no tax increase bond issue. There is no such thing as a 5 million no tax increase bond issue. Um, I'm hoping we will be able to get rid of this language. Texas has. It is an increase. You got two increases actually. It's going to increase the amount of time on your bonds to pay them off. So it may not be a vertical increase, it is a horizontal increase. And the fact that they'll still have 3 bonds out that are extremely deferred. I mean, that if you think about all the interest that you're paying on those and continue to pay, that I my I have a I have a very different opinion on that. And approve a 30-cent levy transfer. Remember, you're doing 90 cents and they didn't roll back their levy. So that was 15 cents of that should have been reduced. But anyway, 30-cent levy transfer. This is a permanent tax increase. So if you go and you say you pay off all the bonds, you don't vote it anymore, and all of it gets paid off. And so it removes that levy. This is permanent. That never goes away. So that's a transfer from the debt service fund or bond fund to the operating fund, the everyday fund. And back in 2017, they had, let me see if do I have my notes on that? Where's my notes on that? That's a bummer. I'll find it. But anyway, back in 2017. Oh, maybe I do have some notes on that. Okay, yes. This was something I found because I was trying to figure out what the heck when I saw that levy move up. So in 2017, you already gave them 50 cents of a levy transfer. Or no, I'm sorry, not a levy transfer, a levy increase of 50 cents into that operating fund just back in 2017. And now they're wanting yet another 30 cents. So I'm sure a lot of people either conveniently forgot about that or didn't realize it. And what is it? That not a whole lot later, they're asking for more. They want more operating funds. And it passed by a very slim margin of 555 to 553. This is what really sucks about these levy transfers. Basically, the 51% get to decide what the 49% are going to pay. So I don't think that's right. I think that should be looked at too, and I think on a state level that needs to be changed. Especially when it comes to something like this, because this is permanent, and if you think that you're going to be able to fight to get this removed down the road, it will be a fight, and it will be a difficult fight. So once this is in, good luck getting rid of it. So these things you have to be super careful of. Okay, and the transfer will allow the district to set a base salary of 38,000 for teachers, he said. You, again, are not responsible for teacher salaries. The state is responsible for teacher salaries. So to ask the property owner to now start paying for teacher salaries is absolutely ridiculous. And they're hoping you're going to be stupid enough to do it. That's something that I very much disagree with. I think I agree that there's something kind of strange about the fact that they do get so little from the state, but that's between the school and the state, not not the homeowner, not the community, and the school. So we have to maintain competitive salaries. He said last year we had a ton of teacher turnover, he added. Indeed, the start of this school year saw one of the largest infusions of new teachers into the district in recent memory, about 2 dozen. There's a lot of reasons teachers are leaving, and it's not just salaries. If you ever go on YouTube, you're going to find a whole host of reasons. It's the climate, it's all this oversight, it's all the testing, it's all the ridiculous stuff that's going on, and the politics along with it. So there's more, it's more than just salaries. Teachers don't be teachers for the money. Any one of them will tell you that. So there's more to it. And yes, but he is right. They are leaving by the droves. Okay, the R1 Board of Directors has not given the green light to the administration to move forward seeking board approval on this bond issue and levy transfer. But um, November 9th, so it has passed. I don't know if they decide to go forward or not. It has until late January to place an issue on the April 2nd ballot. So I don't know if they voted on it yet or not. Sounds like it may be December, January timeframe that they will decide whether or not that this is something they want to go forward with. That is the board, your school board. The board has positioned the district to take more debt without raising the property tax levy. Well, yeah, of course not. Yeah, they positioned it all right to kick it down the road. All your debt, the last three bonds after paying those two off, I mean, it's deferred. So, yeah, I'd say you did. You positioned yourself all right. Um, it recently approved an early payoff of the bonds previously issued, which will save the district more than 800,000 in interest payments. So two of them were scheduled for payoff. This is where I'm really unsure. Now, if they're going to pay off one of those other $2 million bonds, for an early payoff, that would make sense. Like I said, that if they're planning on doing one of those other ones, then that makes sense. More money in capital projects is crucial, he said, noting that the high school is dealing with an aging roof. And said it's going to take $1 million when it fails, he said. There's also a need for an overlay on much of the campus parking lot. Okay, it said they've done a good job of maintaining, he added, and being able to set a higher base salary for teachers. Again, I don't know. Did I close that out? I did. Sorry. But remember what it said? You may want to go back and see what it said on that one bond about what they did with that money or were asking for that money for repairs. Sounds very similar to what I'm seeing here. So, and then I saw something else where they were talking about growing the agriculture department or some other program. I'm like, okay, that it's getting convoluted and what the purpose of this is. And I'm going to see if I don't have it up. Okay, we're going to move on. They would become a district of choice for educators rather than being a starting point with an eye on moving to a district offering more pay. I'm not asking for more pay or a levy. I'm asking to keep it where it is. This is crucial for us to maintain our facilities, he said. Now, they have no lease purchase debt. They have no internal debt. If there's something that they fall short on, and mind you, like I said, they have gotten just a windfall of extra money between what they've gotten in local effort, what they've gotten from state bailout money, what they've gotten from federal bailout money. And it just keeps continuing. And what they've gotten used to it and they want more of it. It should have shored up a lot of the things that they needed. So I don't know what to tell you. It's your decision to make. Okay. Mike Pratt said the boards are concerned that lawmakers will again try to pass open enrollment and charter school expansion. Open enrollment and charter expansions are the ones we think will be pushed, Pratt told the audience. Pratt is R1's representative to the Missouri School Boards Association. Yeah, we'll talk about them, which lobbies on the behalf of local boards of education. He said if charter expansion is approved, it will hurt the districts such as R1. If it goes through, we lose state money, he said. And that, like I said, they pay for salaries, right? So less students, less money going towards administration because, well, there's less students. He urged audience members to contact their state legislatures and urge opposition to the expansion of charter schools. So no school choice for you. I want them all into their school district. I think school choice is a beautiful thing in the way of that's where your tax money should go. It should go to the school of your choice. It creates competition. If there's no competition, well, this is a problem. So, but these are the different organizations that all filter down into, a collective roundtable of members from above associations. And then that goes to that MSBA and it goes to the superintendent that filters it to the school board. And then, of course, there's attorneys. And there you are, down at the bottom. So, well, this is the way things are working out. But the power is still yours. This is what the structure is thought to be and should be. And it still is. You just need to take your power back. You got your tax-paying citizens. You are the customer, okay? And then you elect the school board members, producing what should be local policies, not policies from the Missouri MSBA, okay? Missouri State Board Association. It sounds like it's a state organization, or state ran. It's not. It's an organization. It is a private organization. So paying at least $100,000 probably to an organization that works against you. And then, so the superintendent following the direction of board policies. So the board members are supposed to be telling the superintendent their expectations. And then the faculty and staff are supposed to be able to freely express their needs and concerns without fear of repercussions. See, what's happening now, they can't seem to get to have a talk with the school board members. The superintendent is actually doing gatekeeper. Okay, so if there's a problem in-house, the faculty has a hard time being able to speak with their board members. And what you're finding now, the superintendent as well is playing gatekeeper also from the community being able to um, talk to their own elected school boards. You get 3 minutes to talk. Now, if you are a vendor, if you are trying to sell something or anything else, they have the floor. They don't have a specific amount of time. But a community member, a lot of schools are getting to the point where it's at 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes to make a statement, concern, whatever the case may be, and that's very difficult to do, to be able to express it in a more meaningful way. So the MSBA has been dictating this and paring it down. Some schools will still do 5 minutes or whatever. But the thing is, you have a superintendent. You have to go through the superintendent to be able to actually get to talk to your school board, to be able to speak at the next meeting. So the superintendent runs interference. So it's getting very disconnected between the school board and what we call the school board. And there's going to be links in the description where you guys can actually go down these rabbit holes a little bit deeper from others that explain this much better and in better detail. I said I'm more the financial person, but there's other people that are just rock stars. Like this is David Court's presentation, which will also be linked because there's far more stuff in here that people need to read. We'll link right to When Ozarks. Um, this is good. Gretchen Garrity, she's a blogger. She writes on like the MSBA and other school issues. I highly think she's a wonderful one to follow. And you got your Ozark School support team, and they have recordings where one of them is the town hall where David Courts spoke, and on the MSBA and all the hierarchy and everything else, and what you can do going forward to take back control of your school if necessary. And then also another thing I'm going to show you is, not sure if this is going to be a finished product. I think we're going to make it more localized to Missouri instead of general, but wanted poster. Men and women to run for school boards that actually want local control of your school district. Time is running out to register a candidate. Do you have what it takes to protect our kids and community from ballooning administrative costs, critical race theory, DEI, things of that nature? Like I said, not quite, quite there yet on that. But then, and also be in the link, is the MSBA's legislative advocacy positions. And it does read like a communist handbook. And I wish I was joking. That's the reason why I need to put it in there so you can see it for yourself. I mean, it is all about getting more funds for the school. Community is not a consideration except for more funds. You are a mule for funds, and that's the only consideration that you should get. You do not have a voice. Um, and let's see. Yeah, and then the slide for the presentation. Like I said, I just had to get my notes out. There was a few other things, but I guess I didn't get them up here on my menu. But that's enough for now because this is already long. If you have any questions or concerns, pass this forward to your board members as well. They can learn something from this as well. Believe me, they are just as much in the dark as you are. They are led by the ear, and whoever leads them by the ear is going to be the one that gets what they want. And with entities like the MSBA, I mean, literally shoving the community out every which way they can and unempowering them. Well, now your board has become a Borg. And if you look into their training and everything else, you'll understand how that happens. I've actually watched the training videos. They want them all to vote the same way, even if they feel differently. They're supposed to vote with the majority. Well, that makes it very difficult for you as a citizen to know maybe who needs to be replaced and who needs to stay. Now, I'm not saying you have bad board members. I don't know these people. I don't know um, what it's like in their meetings. So I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, but I will tell you, I guarantee they don't know about these ASBR reports. They get them, but I don't think they know how to read them, at least most of them. They they aren't really reading through the policies. So if you can get a group of people in your community that can help them. These board members actually need to be supported as far as people paying attention to different aspects